Welcome to Ask Earl Anything. This is the show where your questions make the show. Without questions, I don't have a show. This month I have a few questions. I have a few video questions this month. I have a few questions from different covers I've done. And hopefully you guys will find it enjoyable as usual. This is the August edition, 2022 edition of Ask Earl Anything. August is always a tough month for me. 3 years ago this month, my son passed away, and that always makes this month a little bit tougher. Now, I want to update you guys on a few things. The month of July, one of the things my wife and I decided to do this year was take some vacation time and some time down. So we took some downtime. And part of the downtime included a trip to South Carolina, Hilton Head, which you heard about in my last Ask Earl Anything, and a trip to New Jersey to see some old friends and family and hang out. And during that trip, a lot of cool things came of it. Some of it I may talk about in this Ask Earl Anything. But the main thing you need to know is that during that time, I had at least 3 solid weekends I couldn't play any drum covers. So all the drum covers you've been watching me play during the month of July, there were some that were left over from previous months, and then there was lots of what I call alternate take drum covers. And when I make drum covers, a lot of times I can't choose which take I like. So what I'll do is I'll bring them all into Final Cut, the takes I like, and then I'll cut them. And I'll cut them and I'll watch them a couple times on YouTube the next day and decide which take I want as the main take. And then I'll have this extra take that was close, but I didn't think it was good enough to put out as the main take. Now, I have a bunch of these now. Matter of fact, over the years of doing this, I have probably 150 alternate takes. So I had plenty of takes for you guys to watch. Some of you have been so gracious this last year. It's funny how YouTube kind of works. I've got my old YouTube friends, and I have a couple questions from some of them this month. But I've made some really good new YouTube friends. And in the process of making new YouTube friends, I don't hear as much from my old YouTube friends. They see me and they probably watch my videos, but they don't comment as much anymore, and that's fine. I don't have time to comment on everybody's video either these days, and truthfully, the guys that do comment on my videos are a lot of newer guys, and they seem to really dig it, and they dig me putting it out once a day. So I've been keeping my YouTube channel going by putting out alternate takes, and some of these alternate takes have really taken off. I did one of I did a bunch of these alternate takes, and some of them have actually gotten quite a lot of views. And then some of the newer ones that I've done over the last 2 months have also gotten lots of views too. So the biggest one was If I Ever Lose This Heaven by Average White Band, and the first version of it, I don't know, got maybe 300, 400 views on it. And the alternate take, which was really good, by the way, it just was the alternate take. It got like 1,600 views. I think it's in some kind of a stream. So I can't figure out how YouTube works or doesn't work. So anyhow, today we're going to answer some questions. I'm going to start at one I left over from a different month. I don't even know who asked this question. I've been in this weight loss journey for the last 10 months. I've slowed it down. My doctor recommended I slow it down and keep it off. I've had a good fun vacation, so I put a couple on. I'm now working on taking it off this week. So I'm a week back in the zone again. But somebody asked me a question about how many calories does drumming burn? I can't even remember who asked this question or which month ago this question was there. But it was a question that got answered that I wanted to answer because I thought it was interesting. It says on the average, and this is from Google, if you just use your Google thing, your Google machine, on average, the standard drumming session will burn 200 to 500 calories. But an hour-long performance can burn up to 1,000 calories, and 600 calories burnt for drumming for an hour can be compared to 78 minutes of leisure swimming or 10,000 steps at a walking pace. Well, I know I play some of these songs for 20 minutes. Sometimes I play these songs for 30 minutes. Sometimes I play these songs for an hour, couple hours. Matter of fact, I released a cover today called Now or Never by the New York Voices. I played that song. This is one of those songs that I didn't get in my hour time frame I normally do, no more than an hour. This is one of those songs I did at 3 different sessions. The first session was close, but not quite. Second section was close, but not quite. And yes, last night after work, I did it for about 45 minutes, and I think I got it. So I edited the video today and put it up. But that song I probably played for almost 3 hours worth of time playing. So most of my songs I don't play that long, but some songs you do play an hour. Sometimes it takes a while if it's a harder song. But I thought that was an interesting question. So we started with how many calories do you burn drumming? 200 to 500 calories in an hour-long performance if you just go, go, go. So I guess it does help drumming and weight loss. All right, this question comes from Greg Onehoff, another new friend. He said, I've recently seen a couple live performances on TV that feature 2 drummers playing. My question is, why would a band have 2 drummers? Or I could reverse that around and ask, why don't more bands feature 2 drummers? Okay, so there have been some very famous bands that have had 2 drummers. Most notably, the Allman Brothers and the Doobie Brothers. Having 2 drummers is a challenge. I mean, there's been other bands that have had 2 drummers. The band Stuff, the New York recording band Stuff, had Steve Gadd and Chris Parker in it. I haven't heard a record where they both played on it together. I'm not even sure if on the Doobie Brothers they played together all the time. I think there might have been tracks where they were playing together, and there might have been other tracks where one of them played and then cut the track and the other one played the other track. I'm not sure how that worked. But in live performances, I think having 2 drummers gives a very powerful stage presence. I think that's what you would say if you saw the Allman Brothers or the Doobie Brothers with 2 drummers. There was a powerful stage presence of the drums, solid rhythmic parts. I do think that there's a lot that has to be considered when you put 2 drummers playing together. I mean, some other bands that had 2 drummers, Mad Dog and Englishman, Jim Keltner and Jim Gordon were doing that for a while. There's been a bunch of them that have done it. But why did they do it? It was to get more of that bigger sound on the stage back in the 70s. I haven't seen a lot of 2 drummer bands in the newer bands. I haven't. But then again, I don't watch a lot of newer music. But since the 90s, I haven't seen a lot of double drummer bands that I can think of. If you can think of one, leave it in the comments. But I think it was more of a show thing and a certain kind of vibe and sound. I think the other famous one was the Grateful Dead. Almost forgot the Grateful Dead. Another one. So the 70s had a lot of these double drumming bands. But I think, truthfully, you have to have 2 drummers that are willing to give and take for each other. You know, when one drummer's going for it, the other drummer's laying back. That's a lot of communication. It's cool when it happens. There were some famous sessions with guys like Rick Marotta and Steve Gadd doing double drums on them, or Hal Blaine and Earl Palmer doing double drums. So it is something that's happened before, but I don't know. For me, I'd rather play with a percussionist than a drummer rather than 2 drummers. I find I always get I've been on stages playing with 2 drummers and jam kind of scenarios with bands, like 2 drummers in a room jamming with a group of musicians. And I feel like you got to listen a lot more, you got to pay a lot more attention, and you got to be more deliberate in what you do or don't do. And you got to be really deliberate about locking. One of the games I play in here with my grandson, Asher, is we play together. And I actually have a video that we made one day. We did about 10 minutes of us playing a groove. What we do is we play a groove, a 4-bar groove, 3 bars of groove, and then you play a fill. and then we go back and forth. And he sits in the other room, and I sit in this room, wherever room we're in. On that occasion, it was him in the other room and me, and I put 2 cameras up and we did it. And you can hear how when you're playing with 2 drummers, you got to really be listening, otherwise you start flamming one another. We weren't on click, we were just goofing around. But I may put that up one day just to show you how hard it is actually to play with 2 drummers, because you really have to be listening and paying attention and really locked in. Of course, having him in the other room and not seeing him made that harder. I've done that exercise with other students. We'll have a kid set in the room and we'll look at each other, and it seems like we lock a little bit better. But anyhow, interesting concept, 2 drummers. Not one I want to do on a regular basis, but it's fun to do once in a while. Okay. My next question comes from my new friend, John, who is, I believe it's 805 Breeze, and he's got a video question.
Hi, Earl. It's John from New Jersey. I was wondering if you can talk a little about ear protection and how important that is. Have a great day.
So John's video question is about ear protection. Do you practice with ear protection? And the answer to that question, of course, is yes, I do. Matter of fact, the video of John was taken during my trip to New Jersey. One of the things that he lives on the Jersey Shore, and he mentioned to me that, and I had one day where I had some free time, and I basically texted him and I said, hey, I got some free time. Do you want to get some coffee? And he graciously invited me over to see his studio, his drum room, I'll put it. Maybe it's not a studio because he's not really set up for a studio, but his drum room. We jammed a little bit. We played a little bit. Had a lot of fun with that. And then he asked me the question about hearing protection. By the way, while we were there doing that, we had some of those squeeze foam hearing protection. Not my favorite. I like to wear these headphones that are kind of like gun muffs. I've got a blue set of them. They're somewhere in the room. But usually when I practice and sit down, I play with those on. And I have found that that's probably one of the things that saves my ears, is my desire to protect my ears when I practice. I occasionally pull out the foam earplugs on certain loud gigs. I started doing that in the 90s. I was playing with this guy named Mike Dacey, who was one of the Wrecking Crew guys. He was the loudest stinking guitar player in a side fill monitor you ever wanted to have. Loud. He was deaf, I think. I think his ears are shot, and he just had it turned up. This is when he was about 50 at the time. I was in my 30s, so he was in his early 50s, I guess. Anyhow, long and the short of that whole thing was I learned that you need to put in some hearing protection. And then when I would practice at home, I started wearing gun muffs. And then I started buying extreme isolation headphones and Metrophones and Vic Firth headphones and anything that cut 25 to 30 dB of sound out. And it really made me feel better when I was playing, because it keep the sound lower in those headphones than cranking the headphones all the way up. Same thing with in-ears. You have to have a middle. You end up backing off the volume on in-ears, because in-ears, again, they actually block the sound of the cymbals. You're only getting what's coming in through the speakers that you have mixed in with your ears. So it's another form of hearing protection. And I find that to be very useful too. But I started using hearing protection in the 90s. I'm a safety guy. I know the importance of, not getting tinnitus. One of the ways to not get tinnitus is to basically cut your exposure to over 85 decibels by keeping your exposure under an hour. If you're over an hour, you're supposed to have hearing protection on in the workplace. So that's one of those things. So I try to really keep my volumes lower, especially in my headphones, and I try to practice with hearing protection as a rule. So anyhow, I had a fun time with John, and anyhow, I think this question's kind of cool. It was done right from his studio, so we had a lot of fun with that. All right, my next question comes from a longtime friend. His name is Michael Perry. I think I may have answered this question, but I found it. I may not have answered this question. But I think it's kind of apropos I do this question this month. It's funny. I was going through, let's put it this way. Every once in a while, I go through YouTube Studio and I start looking at comments and I go back. And sometimes I did a whole thing this month on negative comments, and, good feedback versus criticism, and that came out of me going through backloads of comments I missed that don't show up on my YouTube videos. They show up in YouTube Studio and I get to them eventually. I think this was one of them because I didn't heart it or do anything. And so Michael Perry doesn't even know I'm doing this, but he asked this question. He said, this was about a year ago. He said, "Hey, Earl, after watching you perform over the last year and seeing your passion for drumming grow, I'm convinced you could have gone completely professional. I know you've done albums, played at weddings, churches, helped with projects and the like, and have a great studio. My question to you is this." Just moved. Here it is. The question to you is this. I know you decided to get married when you were young, and you made some other life choices which may have kept you away from doing the high-level circuit gigs. But looking back, do you ever regret the life you have chosen, knowing that you could have made it big in the music industry had you dedicated more time? Appreciate your honesty. Cheers. Well, that's a question you ask to yourself as you get older in life. Have you any regrets for the things you didn't do? And I can tell you that, in all honesty, I have thought about that question. I have pondered that question over the years. And in all honesty, I could say that I do not regret the life path I took. And meaning that getting married at 22 years of age, having a beautiful wife who I'm still married to, madly in love with, and we're almost married 40 years, is well worth it at the age of 62. Okay? I'm going to be 62 at the end of the month. I'm not quite 62 today, but by the end of the month, I'll be 62. And there's nothing more comforting in life than to have a soulmate and have somebody you can share your life with. And I did not give that up. And I do know that if we went the way of trying to make it in music, that might have got mucked, M-U-C-K, up, back in my 30s, because it's a tough place in your 30s. You're already, I was already 10 years into my marriage, or maybe close to 10 years in my marriage, and I was in a rock band and we were trying to make it big. We did a record in Nashville, and it was right there that I kind of knew that I couldn't go forward and go for it where you had to go to do it. I didn't do it in my 20s before I got married. I got married right out of college. So that changed everything. But I don't regret it one bit. And I think that I have done all the things I wanted to do. One of the things I did before I was 30 was I recorded in Nashville. I recorded in New York City. I played on some big stages with a couple bands, and we gave it our best shot. You know what I mean? I played at Creation Festival for, it was probably 15, 20,000 people that day. When I played, they had like 30,000 people at night. We were one of the morning acts. I played on some other big stages. I played at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, and I played some nice arena type things right about 30 years of age. And then after that, I took the corporate gig and I went and did it. And then somewhere right around the age of 38, 39, I built my studio to record my wife's album finally. We had been talking about it. It took coming to Florida to do her album. It took us 15 years from the time we thought about doing her project to actually recording the project and getting it done. And that was a process. But right in 45, I've done another album. And then I started doing albums more seriously for people from 2005 for the last 15 years. And I've worked on a lot of different projects. A couple songs just came out this week from a local guy I've worked with named Danny Brunges, who's the worship leader at Providencia, the church I go to. So do I regret That, no, I don't. I think that that's my course, that's my path, that's my road. We all have to follow our road and find our road. So no regrets in what I've done and what I've chosen. Matter of fact, I have nothing but love for the fact that I have 3 kids, I have 10 grandkids, and I have lots and lots of great friends and acquaintances and people I've played music with. I played with some of the greatest musicians in the world. Guys like Mike Daisey. And, when I moved down here to South Florida, I got to meet some of the great South Florida musicians like Rick Creevy and Kenny Kosicki, a great bass player. And then a lot of other, musicians. Ed Mena, saxophone player, played with Maynard Ferguson, I've played with and worked on projects with. And a lot of younger musicians, great new young musicians I've gotten to work with, So I don't have it. I don't have any regrets, and I'm quite happy with my path and happy to be still doing my day job and still working in industry and making a good living. So I'm blessed and I'm healthy. The main thing in life at this point in time is your health, and I think that drumming helps my health. It keeps me healthy, keeps me happy, keeps me having fun. That, eating better, and drinking lots of water. Drink lots of water. Not just when you're outside, but drink lots of water every day for your life. Somewhere between 80 and 100 ounces of water. This is 32 ounces, and I drink 3 of these every day. And I'm telling you, that has helped me in the last 15 years. One of the things I learned 15 years ago was drink lots of water. I was drinking lots of water, but I didn't drink it consistently. Now I make it it's almost like one of my practices of life is to drink water. But drink water, eat healthy, eat as many vegetables and fruits and things as you can eat, stay healthy, take care of yourself, stretch your body, walk, breathe, and rejoice. Those are 3 words, and the last word is play. So I've been trying to live a life of walking, breathing, rejoicing and being grateful for life, and playing. And maybe sometime I'll share the spiritual side of those 4 words. But that's kind of how I live life. So thanks for asking that question, Michael. Okay, next question is from 11 Drums. And 11 Drums is a new friend. He spells 11 kind of funky, but he's a new friend, watched a lot of my performances. This was on the Wings of Love by Jeffrey Osborne. He saw my little maple Gretsch kit, and he asked this question. He said, how many drum kits do you have? Now, interesting thing about drum kits. Drum kits that people are really different. Like this drum kit right here, what you're looking at is my 1979 Gretsch drum kit. It is not a USA Custom. It is a Gretsch drum kit. Okay? Professional Gretsch drum kit I bought in 1979 before there was a USA Custom. I have an 8, a 10, a 12, a 13, a 14, and a 16 floor tom. And at any point in time, I can have all different combinations. So this one drum kit could look 10, 15 different ways, depending on how I want to set it up. But this is one complete kit with 6 toms. My little maple Gretsch kit, that kit I've had for a while. Probably over the last 23 years, I've had that kit for probably 15 years of that. I traded that with my friend Scott Hazen, and we've gone back and forth for a Noble Cooley kit, which I had for about 3 or 4 years, and then I gave back to him. So that little maple Gretsch kit was one I got from him, and I traded him a 5s kit for that. 5-piece 5s kit for that little maple Gretsch kit. Long and the short of it, the maple Gretsch kit is my road, my in-town, take it to rehearsals or church services. Usually is in cases and never out, but right now I'm on a hiatus at church for the summer because I knew I was traveling and some other things. So that was the kit you saw there. 6.5 by 10, 8 by 12, 14 by 14 floor tom, 16 by 18 Gretsch bass drum. It's kind of a thrown together kit. I've got drums from the 70s, the 80s, and 60s, and I've even got one from the 2000s, which is a Catalina maple floor tom. And that's only because I didn't want to spend $800 on a maple floor tom from the right era. So, but that's a fun kit. Love that kit. Love using it. And then my other kit is my large fiberglass pearl concert tom kit with a Gretsch 22-inch bass drum mostly. And that kit's got 8 toms, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, I actually have 3 10-inch toms, and I use them in different reasons, different ways. One is on a clip. I got a 10 with a clip that goes with the 8 once in a while. I've got a 10 on a rims mount, that 6.5 by 10 on a rims mount that goes on the rack or goes on the bass drum. And then I've now got an 8 by 10 that I bought with the 8 by 12, which I kind of like. It's kind of deeper. It's a little different. So I throw that up sometimes. And that kit can be any different configuration from 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I can have 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I don't know. As many drums as I want to have. So my kits, I have 3 main kits. I've got, I don't know, 12, 13 snare drums. I've got 50-something cymbals hanging around here. You see mostly my Paistes. So how many drum kits do I have? I don't know. Any different combination of whatever I want to put together makes a drum kit. So, but 3 main kits. None of these kits are new. All of them are vintage drums, except my snare drums I have some very new snare drums and some very cool snare drums. That's another question for somebody to ask someday. I'll talk about snare drums. Okay, my next question comes from my friend Yori Jones. Yori Jones. And I used to call him Lori Jones. It's Yori Jones. And he says, so much enjoy watching and listening. I was doing a long time till I get over you. A little feet drum cover this week. And he asked me a question. He said, are you using different sticks, Earl? So, this is all part of my New Jersey trip, by the way. I have a friend in New Jersey who was able to get me some ProMark sticks and some Evans heads at a good price. Really good price. And I'm trying some sticks out. So what you're seeing in my videos that are coming out right now, this is a pair of fire grain ProMarks. I bought 4 pairs of these. Trying to see how long they last. If they chip, I usually chip sticks on the tips. That's one of the things on my Vaders where they go earliest is the tips. I rarely break them, but they say these sticks don't break very easily. So we're going to see how long we can beat this pair into submission. But I also bought 12 pairs of ProMark Rebound 5As. These are Rebound 5As too. Now, the interesting thing is I didn't really understand Rebound versus a regular 5A. I might have liked a regular 5A better. There's kind of a feel thing in the Rebounds that I'm not sure I like. But I'm trying to work my way through it because I have plenty of pairs of sticks now. I still have a bunch of pairs of Vaders and some of my Goodwood second Vaders. But all my sticks are 5As, 16 inches long, about the same, diameter, I guess is the word I'm looking for. 0.56, I think it is. ProMarks are balanced really nice. I like them. I like them a lot. I'm just trying to get used to the Rebound 5As. Maybe I should have tried one of the other sets. But I've got so many of these sticks now because I got such a great deal. All I'm going to say is you're going to see a lot more of the ProMark sticks. You may see Vaders occasionally. Diodario, if you like what I do, I would love to play your product. I mean, the other thing I bought was some Evans drum heads. I bought UV1s for these toms. I don't know, they tune up really easily. I've got some Evans G2s on the little Gretsch kit that I've been using for a while, and some Evans hydraulic heads I've used on that kit. And of course, I love EMAD bass drum heads. You all know that. Really, it's Evans makes some great products. Remo make great. I've always bought Remo because I've been a Remo guy for so long, and they're a little bit cheaper than Evans normally. But this deal was too good to pass, so I didn't pass on it. Great opportunity I had. So thank my friend. That's all I'm going to say about that. But UV1's really cool heads. They're kind of reminiscent of those DW heads that had the kind of the I think DW had one where it had a coating on it and it was clear on the outside. UV1s have got like a clear. It's actually it's like a white mylar, so it's not a clear. And then it's got the coating that just comes in the center. Very cool. Very sound very nice. Anyhow, that's what I'm playing. Rebound 5As right now. Fire Grain. And these are the Rebound 5As Pro Mark. Got a few pairs of them too. So anyhow, you're gonna see more of them over the next year, probably. I fully switched from Vader? I don't know. I play what I want to play. I don't know if you guys realize this, but I'm playing Paiste because I want to play Paiste. I've got Zilch and I got Sabian, but I like Paiste. I play Paiste because I like Paiste. Right now I'm playing Evans because I'm digging it. I'm digging the Evans. I like the pinstripes on that kit. You know what I mean? We'll see if we can find a set of Evans heads for that kit maybe someday. Or I may put a set of Remo Ambassadors on there, coated, just to have a different sound on that kit. It really comes down to that. All right. My last question comes from my grandson. And I'm going to let him answer the question. This is my grandson, Elliot. Elliot is 4 years old. He is a budding drummer. I should have worn my blue shirt with my drumsticks, which I played on some drum covers yesterday, because he's wearing that. We all have, my wife bought us these shirts one Christmas about 3 years ago almost. And my son-in-law, Aaron, my grandson, Asher, my little grandson, Elliot, and myself all have the same drumstick shirt, you know, with the crossing drumstick, blue shirt. So he has that shirt on in this video, and he's going to ask a question, a very important question. So, Elliot, ask that question.
Why do you wear hats all the time when you do drum covers?
So Elliot's question is, Papi, why do you wear that hat in your videos? Now, Elliot likes to watch my videos, and he also told me he likes to watch my talking videos. So I saved this question for the end for a reason too. Because when I really answer this question, it goes back to what I said in the beginning. The month of August is 3 years my son passing. And I know some of you know I talk about it quite often. I talk like he's still here. My son's here, but I do miss my son. And this has been a year of some real other tragedy in our family. I mean, my wife lost her sister and brother, my brother and sister-in-law. We had a good friend lost their son. By the way, their son and the other person I'm going to mention were going to help me with my son's songs. Both of them are guitar players. So I lost my son, who was a guitar player, and now I lost his friend, who's a guitar player, a great guitar player from New Jersey named Doug McCullough, who passed. And the same week that Doug McCullough passed, a great friend of mine, was a budding friend of mine for the last few years here in West Palm Beach, named Chris Wood. He passed away. And he was starting to help me with my son's song. And I have to tell you, I haven't been able to get that going again yet. I have a friend who's going to help me, a good friend of mine. I'm not going to mention him on this, but I want to get back to trying to play some of my son's music and finishing some of it, you know. So this question from Elliot really has to do with this hat. And here's the story of the hat. The week Matt died, he was planning on coming home. He was living with us for a season. He was just gone through a very terrible divorce. And all I can say is he didn't plan on not being home. But one of the things I said to him before he left was, because I knew he was going to his house in Jacksonville, where he ended up dying in an accident. I said to him, Matt, before you leave, make sure you clean up your room. And he cleaned his room up before he left. And he actually put out some clothes, which was kind of strange, and he had this hat. And the hat was there by his clothes. And ever since my son passed away, I've been wearing this hat. This is my son's hat. Now, I've had hats like this over my lifetime. I love these little caps. And I have another one of his too, a corduroy one of his that I wear occasionally, but I've never really worn it for drum covers. But the hat, Elliot, it's for Uncle Matt. So when you see me wearing the hat, it's me remembering my son, Matthew Earl Bennett, who died on August 15th, 2019, at 35 years of age. So that's why I wear this hat. And every time you see me wearing the hat, you know it's because I just wanted to keep sending up love to my son. And it's a very special hat to me. So thank you for asking the question, Elliot. Appreciate it. Anyhow, for those of you who love this show, please send in some video questions. I love video questions. I'm going to try to continue to add video questions to this show. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all as friends and people that hang out and leave comments on my channels. There's so many of you that have been doing this all summer long. I can't even mention all the names, but thank you all for doing that, and thank you for watching the show. Remember, your questions make the show. Without your questions, we don't have a show. So thanks for subscribing and watching my channel, and we'll talk to you again in September. God bless. Bye.